there's a brand new way to qualify for Cup. There's some new results that I'm looking forward to because some bombshell news has dropped since our last episode of No Neutral. And that is that we officially have what is known as the World Warrior program. So this is actually something that's broken down into 26 regions worldwide, and there's going to be a monthly installment of tournaments. So once per month, we're going to have tournaments that are actually run and streamed by the most prominent, some of the most dedicated community members in the world. And, you know, of course, in that given region, like, of course, we would have in the Midwest, Low Kick Esports going to be doing theirs, or West Coast, we have Level Up Live, or, you know, over in, we actually have one of the most exciting ones for me, Saltmine League, over there in the UK holding things down. So I'm definitely excited for this entire process, and it kind of is a callback to the 2019 and before, where we actually had a point system. So this new format, I think it's very dope. And, you know, some people love the one-off tournament thing where you just win the one tournament and you qualify for Cup. I personally think that that's dope, and there's a whole lot of drama behind it. But I also see that something like this that rewards overall consistency could be cool too. Brian, what do you think about this, the World Warrior program? Whole different perspective now.
I definitely think it's really interesting and fun to have more ways to qualify for the Cup, especially for people like us who might have missed our one shot. But like you mentioned, some people like the one chance aspect of the CPT qualification events, and some people might miss the regular recurring events that accumulates to points that lead into a big finale. Well, the World Warrior program is actually kind of both, right? So these qualifying events, these monthly events, do have a point system where you can get on the leaderboard for your region. But these points are leading up to qualifying for the top 8 of the World Warrior Regional Final. And then there you go, you have your one shot to qualify. And it gives each region kind of a new avenue to qualify for the Capcom Cup. So, you know, say someone like me or Rob here who busted out of our CPT event, we can hit up our monthly events, right? Earn some points, qualify for the top 8. The points will be used for seeding purposes to arrange that final bracket. And then there we go, we got our one more chance to make it into the Cup. And I think the point system is pretty interesting too, because looking at how the points are structured, it's very neck and neck how the points are structured. 50 points for the first place position, 40 for second, 35, 30, 25, and so on and so forth, right? Even going all the way down to 13th, getting 10 points. And then if you're 17th or below, you get that 1 point for participating. So it's really trying to reward consistency here. You're not able to win one of these qualifying events and just coast and rest on your laurels like that, right? If you want to ensure you qualify for that top 8, you need to be participating in every event to ensure you have your spot to qualify. And also the seeding is very important, right? If you're trying to have the best possible bracket path to make sure you don't have to fight the number 1 favored player round 1, you're going to want to keep entering as well, so that, you know, maybe the number 2, your number 1, number 2 maybe gets knocked out in the upset and you have an easier path to go, right? There's a lot of strategy involved in the seeding process for this. So you're really incentivized to keep competing and not just do well to qualify, but to do well to ensure you have the best possible seed going into the finals bracket. So I'm just excited overall because it's a lot more Street Fighter V action for every region. In case you wanted to see more of a specific region, which had an amazing CPT event, well, now you can watch like 6 more tournaments of that region and see players who might not have made it to that top 16 position because maybe they had an off one event. You know, it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes over time as players are competing for that consistency to go into that final bracket. And also, I think just the broadcast and everything is going to be really interesting because this program taps into the local communities and the local streamers for each region. I think that's really awesome that Capcom is partnering with them because it's kind of like a flair that was missed from the offline CPT of old. We got to see the different commentators from every region, and you got to get to see more of the players more regularly over, you know, like longer weekend events and things like that. So I think it really taps back into the local communities and the streamers like that. And so I think it'll be really interesting to watch different broadcasts, see all the different talent, and get to just know the communities a bit more. Like if you weren't already watching some of these local events, I think it just gives a bit more prestige and a bit more hype and more stakes on the line for them, so that people are more incentivized to watch existing locals and get to know every region a bit better.
Yeah, and you know, bro, it really makes me think about how, like, in 2019 and before, there was just so much. Like, I remember there would be like, it felt like there was weekends where there were like 3 CPT events in one weekend. Like there might be something going on, and this is like all offlines or whatever at the time. But it's something going on in South America, and then there's a premiere in America or Europe and Japan or whatever. Got something going. Like there was always something to tune into. Like it to some degree, it felt like it was tough to even keep up with all of it. But that was a beautiful problem to have. And I feel like now we're getting back to that where, instead of just looking forward to the one CPT event for that week, which was already dope. Now there's going to be a whole lot more of variety. And of course, we're still going to have these regular one-off big CPT events where you just win one and you qualify.
So I think we're going to see not only very intense competition with people trying their hardest, but we're also going to see the meta between the players evolve more, because that's what we were missing with the CPT event. It was the one shot, like, you're Batman, you're preparing for the one showdown, this is it. Now we get to see them butt heads and then tweak the knobs a little bit here and there, see how it evolves over time so you can be the most consistent, which is always an entertaining thing to see. I love the aspect of the leaderboard, checking the numbers. Everyone's gonna have a horse in the race, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be like, oh, I hope this guy doesn't do well to preserve my spot here. It becomes a lot more involved when you have to root for other people's downfall.
Yeah, and like one of the more interesting things about the World Warrior 2 for me is the fact that it's a top 8 cutoff. Like the regional final at the end is going to be top 8. So the most hype part is going to be that bottom 2 spots. Like that's going to be automatically in every single region. That's going to be a war type situation where it's going to come. It's kind of like grand finals of the last like couple warrior events will probably be like round 1 of top 8 to some degree too. Instead of at the actual grand finals.
Some of the most important showdowns are going to happen at the bottom half for sure. I mean, that's how it is with the CPT season, right? Once the positions are kind of set in the top, you start looking at like the 30 to 34 range in the CPT season when it was the top 32 players. You're like, oh, who's going to make it in? Oh, if this person wins this tournament, but then this person loses and this person gets second. You know what I mean? You start calculating the numbers to see who's going to make that final position. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see. So it gives more people like smaller wins to look for, like more ways to have that excitement and hype and competition. So I think that's really exciting to see.
Bro, that the whole idea of them having like you automatically get 1 point for signing up.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of soft, Capcom. I don't know about all that, man. Participation points and all that.
Hey, man.
Brian,
it might come down to that.
I know you support it. I know you, but that would be godlike, bro.
It might come down to that, man. You never know.
Imagine you just didn't enter one of the tournaments and there's just like a 1 point difference that makes you not get into the regional final, bro.
I think it's godlike. That's what I'm saying. It's like you better enter.
Yeah. That's it.
That said, we already had our first World Warrior event, of course, kicking off with the UK Saltmine League hosting the event. And of course, it's always an exciting one. And I think we're already seeing how things can get shaken up a little bit, right? Because we had in first place this time, Ending Walker, second place Hurricane.
He got that dog in him, Brian. Ending Walker got that dog in him.
That was my dark horse to win potentially the UK event, because he's been on the up and up. He's been consistently placing better and better and better in every event that I'm seeing. And there you go. He got the first W over Hurricane. And there you go. The race has already begun. Hurricane and Ending Walker in the lead here. But, there's a bunch of other players who have placed and earned their points. So, and surprisingly, Problem X started off in 9th. So this is not going to be free. Not going to be free for the favorites at all. We're going to see these players constantly grinding the remaining events in order to qualify. So I can't call it. Ending Walker is off to a good start. I would definitely predict him to qualify if I had to put some money on it, but we're going to see how this shapes up over the next coming months.
You know what? It could be kind of scary for someone like, Problem, who's like, historically the greatest player from that region for as far as Street Fighter V is concerned. It could be kind of weird for the other competitors to see him get that placement, because to some degree, you want the Problems, the Adam, Mr. Crimson, you kind of want them to place high if you're somebody who might be around that little middle area, because you don't want to get to the end of World Warrior and like
you're fighting for 7th against Problem X.
I'm fighting for 7th, with Problem X, like that's a spooky spot to be in. But as as surprising as it was to see Problem not crack the top 8 at that one, that's why it's the long game. I'm sure after he was eliminated, he wasn't sweating at all.
Right.
And that's the cool thing. Like, he has to make sure he's kicking it into gear, but he's a professional. It's the long game now. It's a World Warrior program. So can you consistently stop the big man team? Can you consistently stop him from cracking that top 8, cracking first place? I don't believe so, but we will see. But also, we can't just talk about Ender Walker getting first. Again, you brought up Hurricane. How consistent has this man been at this point, man? For years. I mean, his Cammy, and at this point, this is what after Cammy has gotten some very interesting adjustments. You know what I mean? She's a little bit different than she used to be. And Hurricane, in the end of the day, still has the same skill, if not more than what he had before. So he's still placing well, getting that 40 points. And we also have some familiar names with Soundboy, of course, always putting in work with the Cody, Shax, somebody who's been putting in work for years in Street Fighter 5. And I personally feel like I've been seeing this guy level up a whole lot recently. And my man, One Step Layer, his Karen is sick, man. Of course, his hit confirms are wild, the Nooch. So it's definitely dope to see how this is gonna shake out. And I think that this region specifically is one of the most competitive regions in the world. I'm not talking about mentality wise. I'm talking about actually on paper. They're one of the hardest regions to call. Like, are you gonna say, would you have directly predicted that Ender Walker was gonna win? It's not like it's surprising, but you wouldn't have been comfortable honestly, there's nobody in this thing that I would have been comfortable putting money on getting first place.
I can call top 3 maybe. Hurricane, Ending Walker, Problem X would have been my top 3. Yeah. That would have been what I would have called, to be honest.
No. You're not predicting. You're not having Infectious in your top 3 prediction, bro. Now, Infectious was not a part of this event, but you're not telling me that you're not having which one of them moving out the way for Infectious?
Listen. Infectious. These are the players that I see week in, week out at Saltmine League doing work.
Okay.
Even more so, like Problem X has entered these more than Infectious, and Problem X is also kind of a bit more reserved in his online tournament appearances, right? But Infectious, he is the guy who disappears for a year, then shows up and wins, right? So, but this is a different format. This is a format where you need to show up week after week. So is this going to vibe with Infectious's strengths? I feel like Infectious is more about coming with an unexpected strategy and catching you a little bit off guard, even though I'm not going to say his strategy is random or anything like that. But he's going to come with a style of play that you might not be prepared for.
That's
and
true.
Then next event, he'll do it again. But these are like 6 months, a year apart, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen him, or I personally haven't seen him in a weekly series or a monthly series in a long time, where people are going to be getting accustomed to what he's doing, or he might not be able to come with a unique game plan as rapidly as that. So it's a different format, right? It's not the same kind of format. These are the players that I mentioned in the top 3, which are consistent. No matter how many times they show the cards in their hand, they're consistently placing. It doesn't matter if you know everything they're going to do from beginning to end, they're still going to win, right? So I would like to see how Infectious performs in the rest of these upcoming events, because he's not in the Capcom Cup. This is his only shot from this region to qualify now. So it's interesting to see how this different test will determine the playstyle and the type of player we see out of a lot of the players who don't enter weeklies, right? Like, I like that it's going to bring people out of their cave.
Yeah, and when you bring up playstyles, it's kind of interesting. We already had the first UK Ireland CPT, and we saw Four Fields get the debut at Fall. Now we're saying Ender Walker get it with Ed. Aren't these both considered like Neo Shadaloo characters? And I feel like that's a little interesting. I don't know. There's something going on over there with that. And again, these are 2 characters that are not scratching anyone's top 10 tier list, in my opinion, which of course all that stuff is arbitrary, and it's all subjective at the end of the day. But I do think that it's just worth pointing out that these guys are just playing who they want to play.
They're young bucks playing the new characters with the new control scheme, new style, right? Like it's all brand new.
They're playing the modern controls, bro.
Yeah, they're getting ready for Street Fighter 6 already. You better watch out for these guys in Street Fighter 6. Might be rocking some modern controls, some instant just frame reaction supers. Who knows?
Yeah, and I feel like Ender Walker, bro, he's going to be a problem. The fact that he won the first event, I really think just confidence-wise. So, of course, man, shout out to UK, of course, putting on a dope show. Shout out to Saltmine League, putting on an amazing show for the first World Warrior program. And I'm excited for these in general. Make sure y'all sign up to get that experience, to get that work in, and of course, to try to qualify for Capcom Cup and change your life making that type of bread. You know, everybody not as rich as Brian. 200, 250K, that's nothing to a boss like my man COG Brian F. But for us regular folks out here, that's life-changing. So, of course, go get your bread, go get your glory, sign up for the World Warrior program, and you can get some more info on that at CapcomProTour.com.